Welcome, Paolo, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about our Penance, this new album, Devotion, and obviously more things related to the metal world in general. So we will start by asking, so how was the band been during the last 5 years? Because your previous album, Misotheism, was released in 2019, and now we have this new Devotion.
Yeah, we had a big gap, due to COVID. The album was released in November 2019, and just in a couple of months, everything was shut off. And so we had 2-3 years with nothing to do, just writing music, and nothing much, no live shows, not anything. But yeah, after that, we decided to do a few more shows to promote at least a little bit Misoteis, because we had basically just a small tour with the Destroyer 666. And after that, we went into the studio to record Devotion, because it was already 5 years. It's a very long time in the metal scene nowadays. So we started with it.
Okay. Well, talking about now from this Devotion, and I think one of the biggest things that I saw on social media is about the cover art, because a lot of people are complaining the cover art that is AI. For me, if the cover art is good, for me it's accepted. But I don't know why the people have a lot of reaction about the AI, because I spoke with a lot of artists. If you can find the art that you want for your album, what do you do? That's the only thing to create by yourself. Right?
Yeah, that's true. But it's also because we wanted to do an experiment, something new that just came out, and I think it's cool for an artist to try a new way to create something you had in your mind, rather than just go to an artist, tell, okay, we want this, and this. We can just write it like 100 times until we are satisfied. And I mean, it's not perfect because it lacks real details, because it's basically an approximation of an image by an EA. But I think the composition overall is quite nice, and I actually didn't expect so much backlash from some people. And mostly are like, small artists that are very afraid of, I don't know, maybe losing their jobs, losing their artistry, but no one can take away it. You can draw, you can paint, you can do anything, even if no one cares, in my opinion. If you are an artist, if you are not, you're just a merchant. That's how I see it.
Oh yeah. Well, our Penance is I think one of the well-known bands from Italy, especially into the brutal death metal scene, because I remember to hear the band from Disturbance in 2003, and now the album that for me changed or created that this little concept of Italian brutal sound is Pageantries for the Martyrs. So you are in the band since 2010. So for you, how was the experience to play, I think, in the first band that push the sound of the Italian brutal death metal?
At the beginning was quite hard, because I first started just by singing, because we had a short time schedule for the first tour after the previous singer Francesco left the band. And for this tour, I didn't play guitars, because it really took a lot of time and practice to play the kind of stuff by Conception and Paradogma at the time. After that, we started another tour with Dayside, this time with guitars, because I think it sounds better, because we have a lot of harmonization solos, and gives an additional layer to the live sounds.
Okay. Other thing about now the brutal death metal, especially, well, for me, brutal metal is related to the technical music. It's normal, it's Suffocations, Broken Half, Cryptopsy, and obviously Mortician, the first four bands into the brutal scene around the world, create this style. Obviously, when you hear the brutal metal, it's very technical, and I don't know why the people sings. I know why some people label the band as a technical, the brutal death metal, since Paradogma. Paradogma, for many people, say that is Paradogma album is more technical, brutal death metal. But for me, that I'm hearing brutal metal for more than 30 years, I know that the brutal metal is technical. So it's normally that you can't play brutal death metal with a technical stuff. That's impossible. That's in my head no exist this kind of stuff. So for you, what is the real conception about the brutal death metal and about these sub labels that the people say brutal technical death metal? I don't know, progressive technical death metal. I don't know, a lot of mixtures that the brutal death metal has.
Yeah, I think people like too much to over-label the music. I mean, personally, I will just say we are like death metal, or maybe some technical death metal with, of course, brutal death metal influences, black metal influences, thrash metal influences. There's a lot of everything here inside the sound of our Penance. So I think it's wrong to always try to fit everything in a standard, you know? I think, of course, our Penance is technical, but there are also like some songs like Ascension, which are more melodic, more slower. It's still technical in a way, but not to the point of being a brutal death metal song in the classical style, maybe Cannibal Corpse or Suffocation.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So now talking about of this new album, one thing that I obviously the cover art is by AI, the name because the name fits perfectly for the cover art, devotion to the big things, and I don't know why. Usually the bands from Italy that play in death metal or brutal death metal that play, there are this concept that the anti-religion concept. Because I know I perhaps it's for the Roma is there, perhaps I don't know, perhaps the main Christian focus is there. Who knows? Depends of this kind of aspect. So for you, what do you think always a band from brutal death metal scene in Italy what talks about the anti-religion, about this anti-Christianity, this kind of stuff?
Well, I think in Italy, religion is really everywhere in our behavior, in the sayings that people have. It's integral to our culture, and in a way that it's not most of the time it's not good because the church has exploited people for thousands of years in Italy. They just built huge churches while people starve in the streets. They waged war. They did exactly the opposite of the Christian message. So that's why in Italy we feel this very strong contradiction with religion. But in a way, it's more of a metaphor because devotion in this case is a religious feeling, but not for something religious, for something profane, for power, for wealth. And that's the things that now people revere because religion is not as strong as it was in the past.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, talking about now from this new album, usually this the album of horror penance bring back the sounds created on Paradogma. You extend obviously the sounds with the sedition, regicide, and obviously the Misotoins has a little more for this kind of stuff. For you, how do you see the evolutions of the sound of horror penance since you entered to the band? Because you entered the band when the band released Paradogma, and now you have more than 14 years later, and you have this new album, Devotion.
Yeah, at first, the first album we recorded together after Paralagma was Sedition. Now, at the time, I was more involved in just doing vocal lines and lyrics, because I had to try to fit my style inside the sound of the band because our Penance have a very uh, identifying sound that is the riffing of Giulio. So I needed some time to fit in, you know. And after that, I think we first evolved into a more almost progressive line of work with Regicide, which was still technical but also very melodic. And then we went like more into an old school straight stuff from with Castle the First Stone. It was uh, still technical, but also very straightforward. And then we got Misoteism, that I think is a good mix of everything of our sound. It's technical, it has black metal sounds, it has melodies, solos, and personally, I think so far it's the album that I like more. Devotion is still too fresh. I can tell you yet how it fits in our discography, but it takes some times.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm a reviewer, I'm an interviewer, I'm work for these kind of things, in especially for Metallarium. And for me, as I mentioned in the three questions before, for me, pageantry of for martyrs create this sound, complete sound that we call, perhaps we can call brutal death metal sound, brutal metal sound created in Italy because he used divinity, I don't know, Flesh God Apocalypse has this aspect to expand the sound according to this album. And a lot of things the brutal death metal heads I spoke with this, and they think discuss with this kind of aspects. And for you, as you are a vocalist, you are the member of the band, for you, which album defined the sound that Horror Penance has since the beginning to now?
I think we have like two separate phases. You know, I think by conception is the best representation of that brutal style of sound because it's very fast, very technical, and the feel is like very brutal. And the second phase, the one that's more influences, I think misoterism is more representative of the new route that we took from sedition on.
Okay, okay. And well, as you can see now, we are living in a world that spread the music like the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when the music is spread just by singles at that time. Now we are retro movement that the music now are releasing singles, more singles than an album. I saw a lot of bands releasing 11 singles and then present the album. So it's a curious thing. So, well, for you and with this new kind of things to promote the music, for you, which song is the best to which song or songs resume whole textures, layers, and all details that this devotion has?
I think it's a hard question, actually. Probably, I think Devotion for Tyranny, the first single, is the one that is more representative of the overall sound of Devotion. Some songs are more on a technical, brutal side compared to Devotion for Tyranny, but I think it represents well the variety of all styles inside the album.
Okay. Okay. Well, talking about now, you entered in the band 2010. So I remember one review about when from Regicide from Spain. I remember that one person said that is no one left in the band from the original lineup from the disturbance lineup. Nobody left now because the last member entered Giulio Moschini is the last member since 2004, but he was a new guy in 2004. So, but since the band started their career in 1991, and from that lineup, nobody's now in the band. So, do you, as you are a full member of Horror Penance, so how do you still communicate with the first lineup of the Horror Penance? I only saw that Enrico Secchettino is in Hideous Divinity.
Yeah, at the time I knew both Enrico and Francesco, the Flash God singer, Francesco Paoli. But I didn't hear from Enrico since like forever, even before joining Horror Penance. And no one in the band is still in touch with the previous member. Even Mauro, the drummer until Paradogma. He left after before I joined. I knew him pretty well, but yeah, we didn't all get in touch a lot with them.
Okay, okay.
I
No,
basically only knew them by name. Only a few of them I knew it because I was in Rome and we went out in the same places.
okay. So, talking about now the promotion for this new devotion, I saw that new version will release in all formats: CD, tape, vinyl, with a lot of t-shirts, hoodies, etc., for Agonia Records. And also for this, what kind of plans has for this devotion? Perhaps you will embark tours in Europe, perhaps you will came to Latin America, Asia, Australia is more open now with a lot of tours. I saw a lot of bands playing there. And perhaps US, who knows what kind of plans do you have? Or perhaps you will working on a new album for this, perhaps you are working now for the new one, or more videos upcoming. Who knows?
And actually, we have some plans for a few festivals in Europe. And probably by the end of the year, so we're going to have a few short tours around Spain and maybe UK. It's all in the work. So far, we don't have any plans for like long range tours because it's getting very, very expensive with flights, with everything. And since we are not like a huge band, it's becoming hard to try to all making on end meets on this kind of tours. So we are waiting for good offers and maybe we can try some long range touring, but it's harder right now, much harder than in the past.
Now talking about other kind of aspects, well, other kinds of aspects in the metal scene. So what's your opinion about now for overpopulated scene that the extreme metal has now? As you can see, a lot of bands are releasing singles, EPs, albums, live albums, I don't know, a lot of things. Each weekend you can see more than 30 or 50 releases, not compared like the 90s, 80s, or 70s. It's very different. Even the 2000s, not like that. So, what is your point of view about this aspect? Is good or is bad for the scene to has too much releases in one Friday?
It does some bad aspects, because when you have so much releases, like every day, people lose attention. Okay, this one is out. I'm going to go on Spotify and listen once to this album. Then I'm going to change this album that is coming out in a week. And I think people are consuming metal like a product. I think consumerism became an integral part or even of extreme metal. And this is, in my opinion, particularly bad because it contradicts everything that metal stands for. So, labels are okay with this because pushing many albums, they can spread their gains. They're okay anyway. The bands have the same diluted attention over everything. So I think people forget fast the songs, don't give the necessary attention to a music that is not easy to listen to. You need to be focused and get every aspect of the riffs, of the lyrics. At least it's what I did at the time. I just bought a CD and put it there and listen multiple times and knew each song on memory. And this isn't happening much anymore. It's like I said, it's more of a product, and it's quite sad in my opinion.
Okay, okay. Okay, our Penance has a well-earned name. So, but as you say, bands today have a hard time getting noticed by the public because we have a lot of releases each Friday. That's impossible to hear 15 releases in a week. It's impossible. And I know because we work as a website, it's very difficult to do reviews for more than 30. No, sorry, no, not 30, 50. It's very difficult to do releases for 150, 100 releases per month. It's very difficult because there's a lot of releases. So in this aspect, how should this topic be viewed for the new bands? what band needs to do for to get attention or more attention for especially for the fans, for the metal heads, because Honor Penance is very easily to hear because you have more than 9 albums, more than 10 albums. You have a long career since the beginnings 2000s. So it's your band is well positioned on the brutal death metal scene, but new bands that has this kind of aspect very difficult.
Yeah, what it changed a lot, it's about the way that bands can promote themselves. Because actually, if you don't promote to advertising, paid advertising on Google, YouTube, Spotify, and everything, it's really, really hard to get attention, even if you're a good band, you have good songs and everything. Because as I see many people, mm, I don't know, at the time I was browsing around, small websites or even books to discover new bands that weren't available online at the time because there was almost no internet. And now I think these bands are either lost in the web or either they have to spend a lot of money, like you will do for, I don't know, if you want to open your own business you have to spend some money, and it's actually how it works now rather than being simply because you do good music. Let's say when Emperor came out, you listened to it and said, this is incredible, this is new, this is great. Nowadays it's harder to feel the same sense of surprise when listening to new stuff, even for people, and also because, as you said, there's so much stuff that attentions get lost everywhere.
Yeah, correct. Yes, you are right in this kind of you are right in this thing. So, well, Paolo, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoy this one like me. I know a little more about Devotion, the cover art, the lyrics, allow the new album and sounds. So, congratulations on this new album. It's a great record. So, perhaps you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallica followers.
Oh yeah, we will really like to come someday because I know we have many, many, many fans in Latin America. I think even more than like Europe or sometimes even the United States. A lot of people always writing us. They want to come there to show their support. But yeah, as I told you, it's quite expensive, but it would be personally very enjoyable to come there. So uh, I want to tell them that we will try everything to be there for them. And maybe someday we can make it happen.